All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my name. My name is Antonio Sacre, and I'm a storyteller, and I'm a children's book writer. So what I want to do today is I want to tell you about my writing. I want to tell you how I got started as a writer, and then I want to tell you some of my favorite stories. I also tell stories in 2 languages. What languages do you think I'm going to tell stories in today? What do you think? Yeah. I'm going to tell stories in Spanish. Raise your hand if you speak Spanish. I'm going to speak another language. What language do you think that's going to be? Yeah. English. Raise your hand if you speak English. Okay, great. I'm going to tell stories in both languages. But the story that I want to start with starts when I was 8 years old. Raise your hand if you were 8 years old. Raise your hand if you used to be 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, my mother gave me a book for my 8th birthday. When I was 8, she gave me a book for my birthday. It was not this book, but it was a book like it. There was nothing on the front, nothing on the back. I love books. Thanks, Ma. I love books. That's good. Open it up to the first page. It was blank. Open up to the next page. It was blank. Open up to... It was blank. I said, Ma, this book is broken. You know what kind of a book she gave me. What kind of a book did she give me for my birthday? Yeah. She gave me a diary or a journal. She gave me a diary or a journal. I said, Ma, what do I do with a blank book? She said, honey, you write in it. Mom, when we go to the library and I get library books, you tell me never to write in library books. Honey, you should never write in a library book, but you can write in your journal. What do I write, Ma? Whatever you want. Whatever I want. Whatever you want. Thanks, Ma. That night, I opened up my journal to the first blank page, got out my pen, put it on the paper, and I had no idea what to write. The next morning at breakfast, I said, Mom, I didn't know what to write in my journal. She said, honey, today in 3rd grade, all kinds of things are going to happen. You're going to meet people, you're going to hear things, you're going to see things, you're going to have fun at recess, you're going to learn things. Think about them, remember them, and when you get home, you can write all those things down. She was right. That day, all kinds of things happened in my 3rd grade class. And at the end of the school day, I got back to my house, opened up my journal, got my pen, put it on the paper, and I had no idea what to write. How many people have ever stared at a blank page and had no idea what to put on that page? How many people have ability to put words on a page? You can actually do that. Some of you can do it. How many people don't like to write words on a page but would draw pictures on a blank page? How many people would rip out a piece of paper and make a paper airplane and throw it around with a blank page? How many people would take a blank page, ball it up into a ball, and shoot baskets with that blank page? Well, I stared at that blank page and I said, Mom, I don't know what to write. She said, honey, there's so many things you can write about. Tonight when you sleep, you're going to have dreams. In the morning, you can write those dreams down. That night I slept. That night I had dreams. That morning I knew all the dreams. And the second I touched my pen and put it to the paper, I forgot all of them. This happened for 6 months. For 6 months, I had a blank journal. I was not able to write a word in it at all. And then one thing happened when I was 8. I have 2 younger brothers, and I got in a fight with one of my brothers. And I thought it was his fault, and he thought it was my fault. And when we told my mom, she listened to both of our stories, and she pointed at me and she said, it's your fault. Go to your room. Oh, I was so mad. I saw my journal, I picked it up, and I wrote down what happened, and why it wasn't my fault, and why my brother was mean, and why I didn't like my mom, and hey, I'm writing. The very first story I ever wrote in my journal was a fight I got in with my brothers. How many people could write a story about that, a fight you got in with a brother or sister? How many people could write a story about a time you got them in trouble for something you did? Or how about a time they got you in trouble for something they did? I began to write, so the first stories that I ever wrote in my journal were fights I had with my brother. And whenever I wanted to write another story, I'd start another fight, then I'd write about it, okay? And I began to write, and I began to write, and I began to write. And now, every day, I write in my journal. I was writing in my journal as you were coming in here, trying to figure things out. Every day I write down ideas, stories, I write down dreams that I had, things that happened. So basically, I was showing you the back of my journal, where the stories are blank. And then I flipped it around when you weren't looking, and I showed you the front, where I've been writing all these stories. So I've written all kinds of things, and there's one story that I wrote a little while ago that I want to share with you, and then I want to tell you another story that I wrote. There are times in the year when for the very first thing that I do in the morning is write in my journal. Well, actually, the very first thing I do in the morning is get out of bed. Then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do when I get out of bed is go to the bathroom. Then I write in my journal. Well, actually, the fourth thing that I do is drink a big glass of water because I'm thirsty. Then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do is put on some clothes. It's chilly in the morning, and it's hard to write when you're cold. Then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do is drink another glass of water because I'm still thirsty. Then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do is go back to the bathroom. After 2 glasses of water, I really gotta go. Then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do is eat a bowl of cereal. It's hard to write on an empty stomach. And then I write in my journal. Actually, the next thing I do is have to get in my car and go to work and tell stories at schools. Maybe tomorrow I'll write in my journal. That was a story that I wrote in my journal about not having anything to write. And then now it's a little story. So that's one of the things that I do. So every day I write. I'm going to show you one more thing that I do in my journal. And one night I had a horrible nightmare. Who's ever had a nightmare? Oh, I was so scared. I woke up and I remember the dream. It was me swimming in the ocean. The waves were huge. I could see down into the water, and there underneath the water were big sharks coming up towards me. And behind me were alligators swimming towards me. And in front, crocodiles. And in the air, pterodactyls. And I was so scared that I woke up and I couldn't even write about it. I just took some crayons and I drew the picture of what I saw in my dream. And then I looked at it, and the little crocodiles looked like puppy dogs. Aww. And the pterodactyls were little pretty birds. Aww. And the sharks disappeared, and then I was able to write the story. I wrote it down, I scribbled it, and I had up the story. So this is one of the things that I do as a writer. I always write. I write all the time. The second thing is I read all the time. How many people like to read all the time? If you like to read and you like to write, that's all you need to do to be a writer. Now I want to share with you some of the stories that I tell, and I'm going to talk to you about trying to get them published.